Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakurash. The honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the whole free elect of the tabernacles of David. Scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, to I say, Shalom, Yeshua, Shalom. Right, this is going to be brief. I got just two things I want to hit. I first want to grab a couple scriptures referring to this clip here that I saw. I just want one verse here. Let me see if I can find the point one. Okay. What did I pass it? Okay, here. Yeah, I'm right here. Yep. So let me start up at Baruch 2 and as a matter of fact, we start up at 30. It says, "For I knew that they will not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am the Lord their power. For I will give them an heart and ears to hear." Right, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, which are all gifts. Right, faith, all these things are a gift. "And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name." Now, this clip here is showing the Vatican returning some things back to these so-called Native Americans. What you see there, too, there's that one chick I saw. What stood out to me, she got all this Native American garb on, with these long-ass Babylonian fingernails, though. But that's besides the point. Return these artifacts and things of that nature, and it kind of, when things like that happen, it softens up the people more, okay, because you think that your enemy is doing something good, and we're going to get one more scripture referring to that, but he's not, man. All right, these things belong to you in the first place. They had them hidden away for a long time there, and they're returning them back to you, all right, as if they're doing a good thing, okay. But our people are so destroyed, they forget their own history, all right. How, in particular, speaking these so-called Native American tribes, right, Gad, right, like recently, so-called Thanksgiving, right? All these different things, how you showed the settlers how to survive here. They backstabbed you, killed your men, raped your women, stole your land, forced your way. The Trail of Tears with around the 1800s, Andrew Jackson, that devil. All right, the Trail of Tears. I believe that was like the 1830s, maybe mid. I know it was around the 1800s. Can't remember the exact date. But all the history there, okay, pushed you on reservations, then came back to want to school your children, gave you casinos and liquor, and made you destroy yourself more. Okay, after they destroyed you, they gave you the tools to destroy yourself, and all of a sudden they're giving artifacts back. It says, "And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, which is Yahweh, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sin before the Lord." All right, and the reason why we're down, it's because we transgress against the laws of the Heavenly Father that we entered into by blood covenant. It says, "And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished." That's a future prophecy. "And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their power, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people Israel out of the land that I have given them." So not only were we driven out of our own land, but even over here on these shores of Babylon the Great, these lands were taken from us. But there's one particular point verse I want to get. I actually think I skipped over it though. I believe I might have went too far down, but that was good that we worked all in there. Where it says, oh no, I didn't. Okay. No, I actually wanted to. Yeah, I did read it. Yeah, I read 30. Yeah, it says the land of their captivity they shall remember themselves, or remember that you're Israelites. And that's what our people are lacking now. Of course, the word is getting out as more time progresses. More and more uh, uh, people are finding out that they're Israelites. Okay, now these individuals here, whether they know or not, who knows? Okay, but it's scriptures talk about how it's high time for us to wake out of our sleep. Okay, because our salvation is near than when we believe. And let me get my other scripture to back up the point I'm trying to make here, because it says, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivity they shall remember themselves." Now, if we grab, I forget what chapter it is. It's gotta be 14, or is it 10? Um, Here it is. Yeah, I got it right this time. Ecclesiastes 14:7. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. Actually, no, that's not the one I wanted. Um, nope. Let me jump over. No, that's not the one I wanted. Uh, Here it is. Yep, 10. Ecclesiastes 12. I go 12. Yeah, 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. All right, doesn't matter how many artifacts they return. Okay, and whatever else the case may be. Hey, we're into the time of Jacob's trouble, where they're going to turn around and try to destroy you all over again. If they can't microchip you, they're gonna want to delete you all over again. Okay, so all this returning artifacts and stuff, which I was going to get that scripture in Ecclesiastes 7:7, where it says a gift destroyed the heart. Which I probably should have still got it, but either way, you get my point. All right, they're returning things that belonged to them once before, and it blindsides people. All right, because when Jacob's not in the truth, anything nice that Esau does, it blindsides him. Okay, it's as though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Is that not what they did? All right, leading up to everything that led up to the Trail of Tears. Okay, he died. Is that not what happened? See, it says because they came over here, those settlers came over here, and they were shown how to live off the land. They were shown how to survive. All right, they turned around and had this meal, and then slaughtered you. Okay, slaughtered us. All right, because we're still one people. It says, "Set him not by thee," which the natives, the tribe of Gad did, lest when he have overthrown thee, and he stand up in thy place, took your land, took your women, okay, raped your women, moved you out of your land, set you on reservations, gave you liquor and casinos to destroy yourselves. Now to let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And that's exactly what he did. All right, around those 1800s, under the orders of Andrew Jackson. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Okay. So yeah, as a matter of fact, let's read that. It says, "Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who would pity?" All right, so it's like in Esau, if you dealt with Esau, you're going to get backstabbed by him, because that's what he does. And the native tribes have experienced that, and so being given some goods that belong to them in the first place, all right, is not doing him any good, because Esau's still a devil. All right, and when it all when it all comes to a head, he's gonna be right back after you again. This time it ain't gonna be no Trail of Tears. Okay, it's gonna be, you gonna take my chip or I'm gonna delete you. All right, you want to save your family, right? Yeah, Esau's gonna come for you because he knows that you're an Israelite. All right, but that's it. That's all I wanted to speak about. That it's just an interesting clip there that I saw. Um, it's just funny how things are happening. I can't say randomly, because nothing happens randomly, but you get my point. How certain things just come up about, at so-called random points in time, man. But yeah, I just want to speak on that real quick. But I got one more thing I want to talk about.
Yhdeksän neljä. 9, 8, 9, 4. 3.
So they're training entirely with Russia in mind. There is no other adversary. They're training to defend their nation and to defend their homeland. So all the areas that they're training on is areas that they will actually have to occupy to defend if the worst happens and Russia decides to invade.
That's the main thing I've identified with the Finns, is that they're well prepared. So the training areas, they seem to be pretty good for what they're training to do. So the main sort of key thing is Russia, and they fight like they train mostly like defensive, and like this sort of wood blocks like that. That's everywhere around here. They'd use fires, whereas we'd try and not use that as like a sort of light signature. But obviously, your survival out in like -28 comes before like anything else. So yeah, there's a lot of things we picked up from them.
It's going to be easy.
Yeah. What are they meant to be bringing you some?
Yeah. Who's going to be bringing? I haven't seen any.
But this is particularly essential because we are aligned to operate with Finland as 11 Brigade and has 3 rifles, and so we must be able to fight in the environment that we're going to find ourselves in. We've done a lot of fighting in a hot weather environment, so the British Army is pretty familiar with that, but the extra challenges of operating this cold weather environment are something that we're not familiar with, and so this training opportunity is a godsend.
F-16s in the sky, a silent aircraft, and a split second. Well, you're watching Times XP. My name is Dhriti Yasri, and ladies and gentlemen, that is the scene Venezuela wants the world to imagine tonight. Not in a war zone, not in a declared conflict, but over its own airspace. And the message from Caracas is very simple: you cross the line. So here's what Venezuela's military is claiming that actually happened. Early warning radar system suddenly lit up. An unknown aircraft had entered Venezuela's airspace. No call sign, no transponder message, no identity, just silence. It was spotted near the eastern region of Bolivar state. That's right, a plane that wasn't supposed to be there. And in the world of military defenses, an unidentified aircraft is never just a mistake, it is a threat. Venezuelan Air Force rushed to verify. They contacted the aviation authorities, the country's main flight information center. They checked every official flight plan, every registered route, every approved aircraft. The answer? Nothing. No scheduled plane matched the radar signal. No one had permission to be in that particular airspace, and that's when the alarm level changed. According to Venezuelan officials, the unidentified aircraft was marked as hostile, and then the description comes in. A white twin-engine aircraft with a very thin green strip along the body, no visible registration number, no marking, no explanation. Here military sources say that it looked like a Cessna 310, a small but powerful American-made plane. The kind often used for surveillance, the kind that travel long distances, the kind that does not just get lost. Venezuela says that its fighter jets were scrambled. Air forces moved into position, engines roaring, missiles ready, eyes locked on the target. In the air, there was no second chances, only seconds to decide, warning or destruction. And this is where reality and mystery now blurs. Venezuela has not released full visual proof. The US has not officially confirmed the aircraft, and the space between those two statements, it is now filled with suspicion, fear, and global tension. Now for Venezuela, the message is political as much as it is military. Do not test our borders. Do not spy on our skies. Do not treat our nation as open airspace. This comes at a time when Maduro's government is already accusing the US of plotting, spying, preparing to intervene. So every unidentified plane is not just a plane for them. It is seen as a provocation, a warning, a rehearsal for something much, much bigger. But here is the bigger question, ladies and gentlemen. Was it really American? Because there's no proof. Was it a rogue aircraft, a drug route plane, a fighter jet, of any influential guy, or maybe a covert mission? Or is Venezuela sending a signal to Washington and to the rest of the world? Basically, they are saying we are watching and next time we may not intercept. One silent aircraft, one tense decision, and now the entire region is on the edge. A new United States warning shook the entire Middle East, and the world, it's watching. You're watching Times XP. My name is Dhriti Atri, and the United States has quietly released a major new strategy paper. And it leaves no doubt. In the eyes of American policymakers, the biggest threat, it is shaking up the regional stability. That threat is Iran. Syria is also flagged over there, not yet exploding, but called a potential problem. Now, this isn't just diplomacy, this is a statement, a global alarm perhaps. Let's talk about what this document says in very simple terms. So, the report calls Iran the chief destabilizer of the Middle East. Syria, still reeling from internal collapse, is described as a ticking time bomb, a country that could spiral into chaos. The US appears to be shifting its focus from traditional alliances to a sharper strategy on defense, security, global power balance. Basically, in short, Iran is in the hot seat and Syria is on alert. You know why this matters? Because the world is unstable. Power vacuums in war-torn regions, proxy wars heating up, rising energy tensions, armed races and fragile alliances. Now, labeling Iran and Syria as threat is not just rhetoric, it's a warning to the world. Ripple effects regionally and globally. Gulf countries and neighbors will watch closely, wary of sudden moves here. Global energy markets and trade routes could feel shocks if military and diplomatic pressure it rises. Nations that are allied with or influenced by Iran on Syria may be forced to take sides, making the entire world map even more divided. You know what this reveals about the US strategy here? This is not business as usual. It's the start of a new era of alliances, open warnings, and global power recalculations. Washington seems to be ready to isolate perceived threats and reshape the power balance, and that too worldwide. In the end, it's a quiet warning which is loud enough to hear. No explosions, no headlines, just a document. But when a superpower draws line, the world pays attention. For Iran, for Syria, for everybody watching, because this warning is not temporary. It could shape decades to come.
Right, so I typed in who are Iran's active allies. And the reason why I did this is because these last two clips here, probably going to start this video between those two. But speaking about Iran, the main one I want to talk about is the clip where it says that, which I believe, I believe those stats are false, where they're saying that 60% of Americans said that America should bomb Iran. I don't believe they asked anybody anything. I believe those are false stats to try to push a particular narrative. But nonetheless, there's a couple things I wanted to get here. Actually, I got to go back up. Okay, yeah, I typed in what ties. Oh, actually, I have to reword it. Is that it right there? Okay, yeah. What ties does Russia have with Iran? It says Russia and Iran share a deep and expanding strategic partnership formalized by a comprehensive 20-year treaty that entered into force in October 2025. This alignment is driven by shared antagonism towards the West and the need to mitigate the effects of international sanctions. Yep, that's how BRICS was formulated. And then Iran's not part of BRICS. I'm just saying that's how they were formulated, trying to get around all that bullcrap that America was throwing at all of those countries. I'm not going to read all this. It says military and security cooperation. All right, drone supply. Iran has supplied Russia with thousands of Shahed 136 and other military drones and ballistic missiles for use in the war in Ukraine. Domestic production. Iran has helped Russia establish a factory to produce Iranian-designed drones domestically. Then it says military equipment. Russia is providing Iran with advanced military technology, including Yak-130 training aircraft and Mi-28 attack helicopter. Actually make me think about the scripture in Isaiah 14, where it says, as thou becomest weak as we. Okay, or maybe the one in Joel, where it says, beat your plowshares into swords, so on and so forth. More so that one than the one in Isaiah 14. But this is what these nations are doing, man. They're preparing for war. Anyways, leaked documents from late 2025 confirm Russia has begun production of 16 of a potential 48 Su-35 fighter jets for Iran, with delivery expected by the end of 2027. Now it says that they have no mutual defense pact. Despite the close military cooperation, the Strategic Partnership Treaty does not constitute a formal military alliance or oblige either side to provide direct military assistance if the other is attacked. Right? Now, there's a couple other things I might read here. Sanctions evasions. Both countries are working to create alternative payment systems using their national currencies, rubles and reals, to bypass Western financial networks and sanctions. That's a big major thing with the BRICS nations. They want to move away from the American dollar, but ultimately, everybody's going to move towards what? A digital dollar, right? When they're trying to move away from the American currency, they're basically talking about moving towards a digital dollar. But guess what? America's also moving towards a digital dollar, and everybody on that side, same difference. It's all going to the same head. Okay. Now I want to jump down here and get a couple other things. It says they both support the Assad regime. Multilateral platforms. Iran has joined the BRICS group and signed a free trade agreement with the Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union, reinforcing their alignment with non-Western international bodies. Now, hold on, I gotta check into that. Okay, so it says Iran has joined the BRICS group. I had to double check that because I don't remember seeing that anywhere. Maybe I'll just forget. But that's interesting because the reason why I was going to mention that, we'll get through this bottom portion and then we're going to get the scripture that I want because it flows right together. All right, they share a common vision of challenging the U.S.-led international order and promoting a multipolar world. Now, the other thing I typed in was, who are Iran's active allies? Okay, this is why I said that's interesting. It says that there because of this here. So I just had to double check that and fact check that. So it says Iran does not have any formal mutual defense treaty allies, but it maintains a strategic partnership with Russia and China, right? And check out this. Now, what else? It says it maintains a strategic partnership with Russia and China, which those two are definitely core members of the BRICS, and actively supports a network of non-state actors in the Middle East known as the Axis of Resistance. Now check out what it says also down below. State-level partnerships. Iran's state-level relationships are generally considered partnerships of convenience rather than formal alliances with the Mutual Defense Clause. So it says Russia. This is Iran's most active and deepening strategic relationship. Okay, you can read into that. We read some of that up above. Then it says China. China is a key economic and diplomatic backer, serving as the largest purchaser of sanctioned Iranian oil. While China provides strong rhetorical support and engages in joint naval drills, it has historically been unwilling to become directly entangled in Middle East conflicts. Then also says what? North Korea, which we know North Korea went to talk to these two about the problem going on with South Korea because America and Japan were in their business. And then you have this all centered around, well, not centered around, but this topic is centered around Iran, okay? So it says North Korea. Iran also has ties with North Korea, largely related to military and missile technology cooperation, and both nations face Western sanctions, all right? It says the Axis of Resistance, okay? We should probably won't read all that. Yeah, we probably don't need all that. I want to get over here to, so soaking all that in. Where's my book? Okay, yeah. So, like I said, the article was talking about, which, like I said, I don't think those stats are real. I believe, because America will make some stuff up right now. So I don't think those stats are real. But even if they were real, all right, it's just something that America's not going to come back from, because it says that the least of the flock shall draw them out, which are those Israelis. Even though the Israelis have beef with Iran, okay, some other people too, but in this particular topic, we're talking about Iran. Excuse me. All right, they have beef with Iran, which that was recent, okay, so it hasn't, gone away, and there's also talk of that sparking back up again, okay, and we just talked about the BRICS nations, okay, those members there. And so these are major players in the end time prophecy that are eventually going to shoot missiles, all right, on America. Because you have this clip here talking about 60% of Americans say that America should bomb Iran. Okay. Will says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. All their weapon and their technology that they have been advancing now. Okay, especially Russia. Ever since the last war and the Cold War, which was pretty much a spy age, and up to this point now, to the point where, from way back then to this point now, to the point where Russia doesn't back down from anybody. All right, they're just bold, and they're not afraid. Okay, like we'll whoever. All right, especially if you're talking about any business with Ukraine. All right. Then it says what? Persia. Well, who's the modern day Persians? The Iranians. See, it says Ethiopia and Libya, both in the northeastern sector of Africa. So African nations, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay, all of them strapped and ready to go to war. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomar of the north quarters, over there near the eastern edge of like Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, over there, right south of Russia's border, because you can't get south towards Turkey and Iraq and all those other places without passing through one or maybe two of those lands of Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. I believe if you go through Georgia, you might get there straight through. But anyways, you get the point. All right, from Russia to everything that's south of there, you got to go through those little, because there's two bodies of water on either side. All right, but anyways, and all his bands and many people with thee, everybody strapped and get up ready for war. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Unto who? All these nations. Okay, which now we know North Korea is not a part of BRICS, but North Korea has aligned themselves with Russia. As far as we know, Iran's not a part of the BRICS, even though that the AI thing said something otherwise. But anyways, as far as I know, they're not a part of BRICS, but they have these military ties and weapons and things of that nature that they're building for one another. And they both hate America, and they both want to get around these Western sanctions. Okay, so all these are big players. So for them to talk about something about bombing Iran, well, they got a lot to think about. Okay, Venezuela, well, they got Russia and China to think about. Okay, so everywhere America goes, they're going to meet somebody that is on the opposite side, or who has ties with someone on the opposite side who come in, like we talked about North Korea, South Korea. Okay, they're trying to stop North Korea from taking South Korea. Japan and America is all in that business. Well, if Russia want to back them up, they're going to think twice about backing up South Korea. They're going to put a pause on it, because America wants to, at best, to the best of their ability, avoid direct conflict with Russia. But it's inevitable. Okay, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Okay, America's armies are stretched in everywhere, and somewhere they're going to run into a conflict. And the scriptures say, the least of the flock should draw them out. And it's going to be those Israelis that are going to get them somewhere, where it's going to end up getting them into a trap that they can't return from. It's going to be a full-scale conflict, and there's going to be no peace talks, all right? Because this is what a lot of those countries are waiting for, man. Waiting to get their hands on Babylon the Great, right? And eventually even their own allies are going to launch missiles, okay? Oh, there's another talk. What was it about? Oh man, I forget it. See, I've been looking at so many clips, man. It was something about I can't even remember. It's probably in the news. It's probably in the news. I think I got it. I just can't remember what it is right now, because I was thinking about all of this. All right, thou shalt ascend, they come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. That's the army. Thou and all thy bands, the army. All right, and many people with thee, other armies. Okay, but yeah, I was trying to read this out so I could think of what it was. Shoot, I think it was something about Poland, or shoot, man, and I knew I had something. Matter of fact, just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, I remember what it was. It was this here, where this the European country has said they were thinking about preemptive strikes on Russia. But I believe we went into this already because, well, we went into the response that Putin gave, where he was saying that, we didn't threaten you, but if you want to go to war, we'll go to war. Okay, so I remember seeing something, but it was just coming from the opposite side. Oh, I didn't go here. It was from the European side of things. All right, yeah, NATO. There you go, NATO. It says NATO. So it says NATO furious after. I'm sorry, Russia furious after NATO hints at preemptive strikes. That's it. That's what I was looking for. Yep. The NATO. I think it was the Prime Minister, somebody of NATO. The Prime Minister of NATO threatened, preemptive strikes on Russia. But I believe we covered that, like I said, but because that was going into the response that Putin gave, saying that they're ready for war. Okay, with Europe. All right. So yeah. So that was what it was. I just wanted to make sure. I couldn't remember. Like I said, we try to look at so many things. So yeah, I guess my books are. No, not you. Here it is. So yeah, I guess we pretty much covered what we wanted to cover. I don't want to be quick, anyways. Just certain things I was mentioning, but that's those two things that stood out to me. The giving back of these artifacts to the Native Americans, supposedly. They're nice guys all of a sudden, but they're not. They're still devils. But then the other thing here pertains to war. Like the scriptures say, there shall be wars and rumors of wars. Okay, these things must come to pass. So, you got a lot of talk with Russia, NATO, Poland, of course, Ukraine. You got the Ukraine there. Excuse me. But the main thing was that them speaking about saying that 60% of Americans think that they should bomb Iran. Okay, and we know Iran and the Israelis have beef, and which America did bomb Iran's supposedly their nuclear facilities, but it didn't really go any further than that. But nonetheless, regardless of that situation that happened, Iran still is a major player in World War III, which is why it's listed in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, along with Russia and these other countries. All right, so yeah, that's all I wanted to get into. Something brief. All right, just a little, little current state. So we'll end it off there. All right, shalom.
A quiet question was just asked across America. And the answer? It's making waves across the entire world. You're watching Times XP. My name is Rityatri, and the question it was, would you support the United States strike on Iran's nuclear facilities? Now listen carefully. 6 out of 10 Americans said yes. 60%. A clear majority, a number that is sending a loud message to Tehran and even louder one to Washington. But here's where it gets even more intense. Republicans, they approved it overwhelmingly. Democrats divided, uneasy, split in opinion. America is not speaking in just one voice right now, it's speaking in two. And that divide could shape the next big decision in the Middle East. Just one day later, another document dropped. A very powerful American security report it was. And inside it, one name stands out, and that name is Iran. Labeled as one of the biggest forces of chaos in the region, a major threat, a destabilizer, but also something else. Weakened, damaged, hit hard. Past attacks, past operations, past pressure have already pushed Iran back. But America is warning the entire world that do not get comfortable. Why? Because the real danger isn't really gone. It's only regrouping. And then comes the real message here. In fire and steel, missiles in the sky, drones in the air, target practice at the sea, Iran's powerful military unit launched a massive drill. Anti-ship missiles slammed into fake targets. Drones swarmed imagined enemy bases. The message was loud and it was clear. We are still here and we are still ready. The location? One of the world's most sensitive waterways, oil routes, global trade, international lifelines. Basically, one wrong move over there and the whole world feels the shock. Experts are now ringing the alarm bells. They say that this is not over. Some wanted to forget the Middle East, to move on, to look at other parts of the world. But the Middle East is not really ready to be forgotten. And Iran is still trying to rebuild, rearm, and reassert itself through allies and proxy groups across the entire region, but very quietly, patiently, and dangerously. So the big question now is very simple but yet very terrifying. Has the military option it worked, or has it only paused the countdown now? Well, is this the end of a nuclear dream or just the beginning of a more dangerous one? And will the United States go harder next time with public support now behind it? This is not just a poll. This is not just a drill. This is a warning, and the world, it is watching, and that too very closely.